Welcome back to the Selflessly Selfish Podcast. I'm so grateful to be back in this space with you all and with none other than one of the most amazing women that I've had the pleasure of just meeting, Michelle A. She is, listen, the creator of the Lost Light and Laugh podcast. Listen, also, she's a mother, wife, businesswoman, and an author. So, without further ado, I'm going to allow Michelle to introduce and tell us a little bit about herself, and we'll get started in this space. Welcome again to the Selflessly Selfish Podcast.
All right. Thank you, Coach Webb, so much for having me on. I usually don't get a lot of interviews in a sense because I'm always the one interviewing. So I'm like, I appreciate this. And so I am mother of two. I have a 22-year-old and a 15-year-old, originally from New York, left, joined the military, got married, had a fallout, came on back. And just feel like a whole new woman now. And I just recently got married. And so like life has been lifing, but God has just been so good. So I have so many stories.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Listen, and you said the key word. You said life has been lifing, but God. That's it. Yes. That is it. Through it all, God has still showed himself strong. And that's one of the things that I'm so glad that I have you here today. Because I want you to share, like, how did you realize, even after all of that have taken place in your life? Because my podcast mainly, it also started in the area of self-care. So I want you to share a little bit about that as well, how you were able to recover from going from one space and now finding that person that you know that God has for you. Because I can tell with the joy that you're exuding right now, listen, that you're like, yeah, this is it. Yeah. This is it. So tell us a little bit about your transition from that space into where you are now. Finding the man, starting the podcast, writing the book, all of that, right?
Yeah. So it was a lot of trial and error in a sense. I had an expectation of my life going in one direction, right? I thought this was it. I thought we were in here. We are good. Everything's going as planned. And we made a move. We were at the time living in Alabama. We moved to Texas. And then our whole lives, just everything just kind of fell apart. And so I was just sitting there, just angry for a very long time about my lot. And I had an expectation, if you do it God's way, that certain things were supposed to happen the way I envisioned. Well, it took a minute, lots of trial and error, for me to get to the point to say, hey, maybe this was part of the plan. And what can I do? What do I have? What can I use? And so I just use my story. And that's the God honest truth, the rawness, the highs, the lows, the difficulties, the confusion, like all of that. I just decided, okay, God, here you go. I don't know what you're going to do with it, but take it and then kind of go with it.
Right. Yeah. I love it. I love it. And you know what? And that's really what it's about. Mm-hmm. That's really what it's about, accepting the fact that we don't have to have all the answers. That's real. And that's what God wants. That's the time he's saying, trust me. Yeah. That's the time I don't think he intended to ever give us all the answers. I think he just wants us to trust him that he knows what's best for us. Right. Yeah. That's a good part of it.
If God would have told me all of these things were going to happen, that I was going to move to a new state, I was going to go through a very horrific and public divorce. Like when I tell you it was bad, it was really bad. When I say the FBI showed up at my home, that's how bad. Okay. It was all over the news, the newspaper. It was one of those stories where you're just like, this can't be real. I call it like a Tyler Perry story. It cannot be real. This is a Tyler Perry story, but it's literally happening to me. And, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking like, okay, God, this can't be real. And once I got to the point where this is real, this is happening, what are we going to do with it? How can I help others? And I took some time to heal. I know you mentioned self-care. I think when it comes down to self-care, one of the biggest things that we can do is process. Take some time out to really kind of think things through. Okay, like what really happened? And I know as a believer, I had went through, it was really hard situation. And of course, as believers, we want to forgive. but I had not processed what I was forgiving. I did not, I just rushed into, I forgive, but I was still hurting. I was bleeding. I was literally going through life doing ministry, serving, quoting scriptures, working. I was going through life, but I was bleeding on the inside. On the outside, I looked polished together, like God's got this, but I was falling apart. And so I had to take some time out to process everything that happened, why it happened, you know, and then take it and make sure that I did not just become a person that was a victim of a bad situation or circumstance. You know, like sometimes we can carry a chip on our shoulder and say, well, this happened to me and it was the worst thing. And, but now what? At least for me, now what? It did happen. What am I going to do with it? How am I going to recover? Can I help people? And I just decided to go that route. Yeah.
I
So,
love it. I love it. So you realize this is, listen, something so traumatic. You said there has to be some way God intended for me to use this to be a blessing. Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
And I will, I didn't go into much detail about it, but I'll say, I'll go in and give you a gist of what really happened. My ex-husband, we were married for, at the time, 13 years. We were both in ministry.
Mhm.
And he decided to have an affair. Now, affairs happen in relationships
Yes.
all the time. And I sometimes the private ones you can kind of cover. Not a lot of people know about it. You can cover it and you can recover.
Right.
Well, that wasn't the case with this one, right? This affair actually ended up being rape. And the woman he slept with said he raped me. And because of the nature of his job and his position, it was technically considered rape. And so now I'm here, the FBI is at the house investigating it. I'm here thinking we're about to start worship in the house. Like everything that I thought we were working towards and that we were in a good place, it just fell apart. And so I'm sitting here and I'm like, this can't be real. This can't be my life. You know, this is not what I've sown, Lord. So I shouldn't be harvesting this. But it
Right.
was just like, okay, what can I what can I do with this story? And so I had gone through so many counseling sessions. I had a fabulous therapist, Christian therapist, and I was going to divorce care. I was literally trying to plug myself into everything to kind of help me get through this. I had a wonderful Sunday school class that really kind of nurtured me through this. They really did. And um, I had went to a retreat, went to a women's retreat, and began to see something breaking. And I was writing those letters, and I started to feel a shift in the atmosphere, in my heart, in my spirit. And it was all coming together. And one day I was in my classroom teaching. Well, I had finished teaching and I was wiping some desks down. And one of the ladies from this local ministry asked me, said, "Hey, Michelle, we noticed just a change in you. You look great." And I was just volunteering and serving in church. And she says, "Hey, would you be interested in sharing your story on a public platform?" And I was like, uh, let me pray about it. And like how Christians say, let me pray about it. We really don't know what to, let me
No.
pray about it. But we're saying no.
Yeah.
So I did. I took it to the Lord. And I was in my classroom the next day. End of the day, same thing. And I was wiping down the tables after the kids had left. And I was like, God, do you want me to share my story of your goodness with 1,000 women? And I was like, of course he does. Like, that's a no brainer. Of course, he wants me to share what he delivered me from. And so I got up on that stage and I was on there for about 25 minutes. And I just was like, I put it all out there, told them from beginning to end and how God was showing up. And when I got off the stage, it was like, oh my God. Like, what just happened?
Yes.
I put it all out there, and every single break, there were, and I want to try not to cry, there were a line of women
Safe space.
waiting, waiting to talk to me. Like they were just like, Michelle, I didn't know. And it was just like, I'm going through something similar, not as bad. They always put the disclaimer, not as bad as you, but you know, and it was just like, but God, but God, he showed up. And once I told my testimony, it was just like, okay, I started counseling in a sense and coaching and speaking to women and things like that. And then it was just like, well, give them the backstory. And that's when I wrote my book, okay? When Scandal Comes Home. It's a
Yes.
workbook and a book in one.
Come on.
And it gave the backstory of what led up to the affair, what our lives was like before. Because sometimes you just see the affair and you assume that there was a horrible marriage and that's why the affair happened. It wasn't. I thought it was a pretty good marriage. But someone could have an insecurity and act on it and then things fall apart, and that's exactly what happened. And so I began to do speaking engagements, the book. That's when I started the podcast and then started doing retreats as well too. And it was just like, okay, God, I'm going to give you what I have, which is my story, a broken heart, a willing vessel. Use it how you will. And so that's really how it all started. From one tragedy to somebody saying, okay, God, use it because I ain't got nothing else to do with it. What else am I going to do with this? Right? Just go ahead and use it.
Listen, let me tell you something. That's so amazing that now to just, you share something that, so painful, so, traumatic, and to hear you be able to laugh. You are truly what it is when the scripture said he gives you beauty for ashes, right?
Yes.
Listen,
I
I
look
would
better
know.
now than I did when I was married. Okay.
Yes.
Like he literally, it was like a new identity, a newness, a breaking. But it took some time. So I don't want anyone to think like this was an overnight thing. This
That's
was
good.
years. The fallout with my ex-husband happened in 2014. I
Okay.
got married in 2024.
Okay.
So there was a
It's good.
10-year span
Mm.
before the end and the new beginning. And
Okay.
so I love to just kind of share and help and encourage people to know, okay, you can get through this. It's There's going to be your highs, there's going to be your lows, but what's the alternative? Coach Webb, do I sit here and lament about it? Do I sit here and become angry about it all over again? Like, what am I going to do with this? And I just decided I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be the angry person. I don't want to be the bitter person, the snappy person. I don't want to be her. I like being nice and kind and funny. And I like that version of me. And so I had to take the steps to let that side come out. That's my true nature. The anger, the rage, the condescending tones and the sarcasm, that's not who we really are to our core. Those are maybe sometimes trauma responses, a way to try to protect yourself, but it's not really who we are to the core. So I said, okay, Lord, use it, use it.
That's good. And I'm so glad you just said that, because at what point did you realize that you were not okay? When you were, you had the facade up, you had this outward appearance on that, I'm good, God's got me. At what point did you realize, was it something particular that happened to let you know, okay, I'm not in a good headspace here, and this is not me? What moment let you know that I need to get help, that I'm not okay?
Yeah, there were a number of moments. It wasn't just one. I will say, I'll give you two. I'll give you two.
Mhm. Yes.
There was one where I was in this, I think it was called like Life Healing Choices. It was like a small group for forgiveness and healing, and we were writing letters and things like that. And I remember in the group, I was just going off and just blah, 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 blah. And one of the ladies turned and she said, "You are so negative." And I was like, because I never saw myself as being negative. But this lady just was like, "I wish I was in your position at your age. You're doing so well, and all you're focusing on is the negative." Like she dug in, sis dug in. I was like, whoa. But she was right. She called
Wow.
me out. She called me out. And
Wow.
I remember like saying, God, I didn't know that I was giving that off. I didn't know I was projecting that. I
Wow.
thought I was good.
Yes.
And she called me out on it. And so from that moment, that's when I started doing journaling, and I started writing, doing a gratitude journal at night. So every night I write 3 to 5 things that I'm grateful for, because it
Mhm.
keeps that entitlement, it keeps that anger, it keeps a lot of things at bay when you learn to say thank you.
Mhm.
And so
Absolutely.
I started journaling. And then the second thing, this was back maybe about, maybe I can't remember, maybe four, three or maybe 3 or 4 years ago, when the troops were leaving Afghanistan, because I used to serve. And when they left Afghanistan, and I was stationed right there, there was a bombing. And when that bombing occurred, it was almost like an explosion on the inside of me happened at the exact same time. I'm here in Texas. I'm not overseas. I'm not serving anymore. I'm out of the military. At least in my mind, I'm far removed from it. But it was just like, and it was all the trauma, all the things, like from all my past. It's like it all came up to the surface all at the exact same time. And I don't know to this day if I had a stroke or not. Okay, Coach Webb. It was so bad. I literally cried like I never cried before. I could not speak. I physically, it felt like, how do you say it? It was almost like I just chose, like I couldn't talk. It's not like my brain was moving, like I could understand, but words were just not forming, and I could not. And at that time, I just text my daughter's best friend. I text her mom. I said, "Look, my child can't see me in this condition. Can you please come get her and just let her know I said it's okay?" And she picked her up, and for the weekend, called my therapist, and I was talking to her about it, and she said, "Michelle, I'm not surprised that this happened to you, because you just blow through things. You just go through them." And I will say this, as an African American woman, um, that's our norm, especially the Bible believing women. Okay, we quote scriptures and we just keep moving. We don't process. We don't really take time, because we feel like if we're doing that, we're focusing on the negative. We're focusing, and it wasn't that. It was just like you never really, you're bleeding, but you never stop to assess the wound. And so you just kept going. And as you were going, you were getting little hits. And the Bible says it's the small foxes that spoil the vine.
You better
It's
come
not,
on.
it
Come
was the
on.
big hit that hurt, but it
Mhm.
was the small hits that compiled along the way that I was taking and I was pushing past, that really added to the wound. And here I am. Now I'm falling out and I'm literally just stuck, having a hard time being able to use and formulate words. Even to this day, some of the words that I speak, like they're not as clear as they used to be. And I was like, what's going on? I went into my doctor and she said, look, because she's known me for some time and she's seen me, and I've always been a chipper person, very happy, jovial, like, yes, just that person. And she was scared for me. She said, you got two options, Michelle. Okay. She says, you can go to the hospital or you can take this medication. Those are your two options. Okay. And I'm not a person that likes to take medication, and she knows that. I like my natural remedies. Okay. And she knows I have a hard time with taking She said, those are your two options. Okay. You admit yourself, because if not, she was going to do it for me. Okay. That was
I
pretty much it. And so I said, okay, I'll take the medication. I said, but I got to get off of it. Okay. I can't stay on it. Right. And she said, look at me, Michelle. She said, promise me that you will not get off of this medication without me. You got to get weaned off of it. And so I'm not against antidepressants or anything like that. She says, promise me. She looked at me, and this is a doctor talking to me, like, look at me. I know you. Promise me, because if you just jump off of this medication, it's going to do more damage. You got to get weaned off of it. And so let's get you to where you need to be. And then we'll work on a plan to wean you off. And so she did that for me. She did that. And it took some months for me to get back to where I was, but I didn't even realize like so many functions were missing. But I didn't know till later. I went to go get my oil change and I realized I could not read into the 100,000s. I was like, I couldn't say, and I'm a teacher now. I'm an educator. So I know numbers. And I was like, I couldn't read the numbers. I was like, what, 106,700? Like I was having a hard time. And I was like, this man must think I'm dense. I'm not. I'm really educated. I just couldn't read the numbers. But I didn't know that I had lost some of that.
Mm.
I was trying to count by twos one day and I was like, I can't count by twos. I'm an educator. This is something's not right. And so there were things that I was doing along the way. And it was just like, you're not okay. You're not okay. So I'm able to identify and see through a lot of things, cut through it. And I'll smile with you. And when you're ready to talk and be transparent, no judgment here, because I know what that looks like. So it was those two things, those two experiences that had me think like, oh my word, I'm not okay. I'm not okay. Even if I quote scripture, I go to church and read I'm still not okay right now.
Mhm.
And it took a minute for me to get to that place where I was better.
Absolutely. Listen, you just said an entire mouth full. Oh
Mhm.
my goodness. First, let me thank you for your prior service as
Yeah,
well.
absolutely.
Thank you. Listen, Michelle, what you just said, I mean, it lays it out. The
Mhm.
fact that you were invited to tell your story, right? And
Mhm.
from you stepping out to do that allowed you to get in a space where you had to face that
Mhm.
you were not good. And now you were able to move, and it just like that's how good God is. That's how he
Yes,
loves us.
it is. He
And you
is.
got so much from showing up from one space to tell your story to having that young lady have to speak to you in such a way, but it was like a harsh truth, a hard truth that needed to be heard. It
Mhm.
needed to be said because it had to jolt you, you
Yeah.
know, to
Yeah.
get you to see, okay, you're not good, that you got to do something about this. You got to handle this. You got to get some type of help. And then you said, what? As African American women, that's what we do. Look, our work is never done. We're going to push past it. We're going to keep going, right?
Mhm.
But sometimes we just got to sit in a thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to sit in it because you got to realize exactly where you're at. And I believe that's why we don't address a lot of things, because we don't allow ourselves to sit in it. We're constantly moving from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. And then before we know it, we're in
Mhm.
a space now where it requires what? The medication.
Yeah, medical
Been
care.
there, been
Yeah,
been
medical
there,
care. And as
been
we
there,
know, like heart disease, that's on the rise in our community,
been
and we're seeing young women like having like this has never been. We've never been like this. So what's going on? What are we not addressing? Why are we not being transparent? Why are we not talking about this thing in a way that is actually going to bring the conversation and say, okay, I need help. And at this point, I had nothing left to prove. Okay. I had no face to save. Okay. I'm like, look, my words are fumbling. I literally, my words are like it's slurred. They were coming back. It was almost like voluntary speechlessness. Like I don't even know how. I forgot what they call it, but I just mentally here I'm fine, but it did not register. And so, it took some time for me to come on back and to get to that place. But I think these are some of those lessons that we have to learn um, along the way. And we don't necessarily talk about it. We want to hurry up out of the pain. We want to rush out of the trauma. We want to rush out of the discomfort, which I absolutely get. I want this to be done with too. And
yes.
I don't want to stay stuck. But I also understand if we rush past something too quickly, we may not heal it correctly. And then it's showing up 2 years later,
Come on, come
right?
on.
This was a small thing and you didn't even take time to put a band aid on it. And you could have put a band aid on it and protected it and healed it. But because you didn't do that, you left it open. Now it's infected. And a band aid can no longer fix this. Now you got to go in. Okay. And sometimes that's how we live our lives.
Yes.
We could have addressed it, we could have got it resolved. We didn't. And now it festers and it gets worse. And now it's out of control. And now it's affecting everyone around us, including.
This was so good. And I hope that everyone is picking up on the nuggets and the wisdom that comes from all of this. And that's how we got to be able to look and see God in the midst of it. And what? I mean, the scripture tells us that no trial, no situation seems joyous when we're going through it at the time. Right. And who wants to hear that God is taking me through this so that he can get the glory out of my life? We don't want to, we don't want to hear that right now. But I am telling you, everything that you just shared, I know that at the time this airs, I'm just waiting to hear. I'm waiting to hear the feedback from this. I'm telling you, because it's like the sitting in it, the moving past. There's so many of us that wives and mothers, that's what we get caught up in, that we just got to do this, and we neglect ourselves. We are so engulfed in everybody else and making sure that we show up for everybody else that we forget to show up for ourselves.
That's right.
And we're left here trying to put the pieces together, right? And it happens, more often than it needs to, because like you said, we don't want to talk about it. We don't want to share it. All we want to think of is, I experienced this, and let's move on. I'm ready to get past it. But guess what? Sometimes we got to sit in that thing and we got to really get to the root of it. How did I actually get here? How did I get to this? How did it get something that I thought was so good? How did I end up here? And it's in those dark moments, listen, that God brings the most beautiful light. And I'm telling you, I can't wait. So this is it. I want to hear, just give us a little bit about your podcast. And now, because I want people to go and check out the episodes, because you've got quite a few there. And if I'm not mistaken, is this season 4 or 5? What?
Yes, this is my 4th season in doing the podcast. And so I will tell you how it came about. So I was literally promoting the book on Clubhouse. Okay. Yeah. I just wanted people to buy this book. I don't have no money. Okay. Y'all know, you hear my story. I'm trying to promote this book, right?
And we're going to need you to tell us about this book too. Let's go to the podcast, and then we're going to get the juiciness of the book. Okay.
So, I'm promoting the book, and I go into, Clubhouse, and I'm in one of the rooms, and the lady says, "Hey, Michelle, do you have a podcast?" I was like, "No." And I'm thinking, lady, buy the book. And she said, "Man, you have a great podcasting voice." And I'm like, "Oh, thank you." I didn't get any sales. I was out that room. I went into another one. Okay, promoting the book, trying to get sales. And it was like, "Do you do podcasting? Are you on the radio?" And I was like, no, I'm just promoting this book. And I heard it twice. And I was like, I'm getting off of Clubhouse because you wasted my time. I'm trying to get sales, right? And so I just let it go. And so I did this video called In These Volleyball Streets, because I was making fun of my daughter because she does volleyball. And I was kind of annoyed. I'm up 6 o'clock in the morning and they're losing and eating these Chick-fil-A sandwiches. And I'm like, I'm in these volleyball streets, and it was a joke. Yeah. And I showed it to one of my coworkers, and she says, "Michelle, you have a great podcast." I was like, just forget it, Lord. I'll go ahead. I'll do it. This is the 3rd time. I don't know nothing about podcasting. I'll just go ahead and do it. All right. And I said, if it's you, Lord, you're going to make, you'll make it work. Because this is 3 times now, separate people telling me about my voice. I said, okay. So I went ahead and got the equipment, did my research and try to figure out how you do podcasting. So I aired my first episode. It's called Lost Light and Laughter. I said, okay, I wanted a podcast that represents me. Like, I've had major losses. God represents the light. He's always in my life. And laughter. I love to laugh. So I put all 3 of those parts of me together, and that's why we call it Lost Light and Laughter. I was like, it's an inspirational show about laughter after tragedy, right? So, so I'm like, okay. So I said, let's go ahead and do this. And so that's what I did. I aired the first episode, and it went to Singapore. I was like, I don't know anybody in Singapore. I was like, I became an international podcaster with the first episode. And I was like, okay, God. And I just kept going. And then I was in 16 countries, just kept going. And then it just kept multiplying. And it was like, we need to see you. We need to see you. Because it was literally just audio. I was in my pajamas doing this podcast. And that was it. Interviewing people. And it was like, Michelle, times have changed. You got to get on YouTube. They need to see your face. And I'm like, I don't want to. And so the third season, I went ahead and did the YouTube. And so this is my fourth season of doing it. I took some time off from getting married. And so I'm back with season 4. But I was just like, okay, God, this is what I do, y'all. This is who I am. God, you got a voice? Here you go. Use the voice because I can't sing.
I love it.
So I just give God whatever I have. I'm like, I can speak. There you go, Lord. What you do with it?
And that's all he wants. That truly is all he wants. I love to say where I said, you're going to sow it and trust that God is going to grow it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all he wants. He just wants us to just show up and give him. He already knows how he sees the end, then the beginning. So he already knew that, you know what? Okay, I'm going to send one more person to her. Is she going to grab it this time? Right. But it's like go into a space and it takes off. And so I'm grateful that you did. I'm grateful that you did that because I believe that in the midst of you, out of your obedience, you were able to reach those people that were assigned to you. And you gave not only myself, but you gave them the opportunities to share their story. And there's so much healing in that. I like to tell people, Michelle, when I say that, you know, the enemy doesn't care about our strengths. It's that testimony side of a thing, because that's where people are healed. That's where they can hear, you know what? If he did it for her, then surely he can do it for me. So you've given so many individuals over those 4 seasons the opportunity to come up and share that I started here, but look, I started in loss, but through the light of God, I've ended in laughter, right?
Yes, that's the premise of it.
You've given people the opportunity to share their story. And I know it's so much healing in that. And so out of all of that, you said, what? Okay, this is not it, right? Okay, let's talk about this book that we're going to sell, because you know what we do? We call those things that be not as though they were.
Yes.
So come on, give it to us so that when we leave here and by the time this is aired, look, I want you to reach out to me and say, Coach Webb, you know what? Guess what? I want to know about the sales, okay? Listen, let us know about this book. Give us the title, tell us about it, and let's go. Come on.
So it's called When Scandal Comes Home, Navigating the Darkness with the Light of Integrity. And so this is the workbook. I actually promote this now more than the actual book, because what I did do with this is I have the story in the front of it, but in the back, there's actually a workbook, and I call it the section, Hold My Hand. And so it gives you an opportunity to answer some of those hard questions. Like if you're going through some things, there's some places for you to plan your day. There's also some prayers in the back of this where you can pray as well too. It's little things that you can do when you're going through it. Here's some of the what to do's, what not to do. There's some confessions and prayer as well in this book over your life. So if you're going through a scandal, and a scandal could be anything. Okay. Mine, it was an affair that was really bad. That was the scandal. But the scandal in your life is whatever hurts you, whatever brings any type of shame, humiliation, that kind of thing. That's a scandal. So it could be something your child did that you're trying to cover up, because you feel like, man, I was a bad parent. You weren't a bad parent. Okay. But these things, it happened. It could be something your spouse did. And you just like, man, you feel embarrassed. That's your scandal. It could be your own decisions. You're like, man, I knew better, but I did it anyway. So whatever scandal it is that you are facing in your life, you can relate in this book. You really can. And so that's what I did with this. This is the workbook. So you can work through it as well. Ask yourself those hard questions when nobody's looking, and answer those things to kind of get the help that you need to get through the scandal that you're experiencing in your life. And, God is so faithful. I think the minute we take the time out to, read a book, journal, like you mentioned before, get the ebook and journal. The minute we begin to do things like that, it's almost like God is saying, oh, you're taking notes? Now let me give you something to write about. Let me help you out, daughter. Let me help you out, son. So he blesses us when we take that initiative to start moving in the right direction towards healing. He meets us. He says, draw near to him. He's going to draw near to us. So,
Oh,
I love the fact that, he allowed me to do this book. So it's available in the workbook. You can catch it on Amazon as well too. And it's an easy book to read. It's one of those, you like, ooh, girl, what? You're like, oh, you said skipping through those pages. You can read it in an hour. You can look at that thing like, turn these pages. Oh my goodness. Is this one of those stories?
I'm telling you, I love it. Because you know what? Even when you say that, I love the fact that you gave the great read, right? And now I'm not going to leave you here with just the reading side of a thing. Look, now I'm going to show you how, you know what? There's a part 2 to this. There's some work that it's going to need to take place.
Yes.
There's some work that you're going to have to do. And that's where I find we get stuck. We want to talk about it. But when it's time to actually work through a thing, then we get frozen, we get still. And then that's how we end up stuck in a space.
Yep.
And when I heard you share that, I'm thinking that's exactly what that was. How do you have a teacher, someone that's educated, been in the military, served this country, literally forget how to count by twos?
Yeah.
It's because we get stuck and we block out. We block out a space, and then we end up blocking out the good things that we need to help us. It gets lumped in with all of the trauma and everything. So I am so glad that you've given us this workbook. Listen, you can go into a space, and I'm going to tell you, like I like to tell everybody, listen, those of you that are watching right now or listening, take your time with it. Don't rush through it. Look, hey, look, you're going to get it from Amazon, but it's not going to be like Amazon results, right? Come on now, that 1-2 day. Give yourself some time to work through it. Allow yourself to sit in it, feel the feels, let yourself feel whatever it is you're feeling. And then you work through it. You said prayers are in it also. You got prayers in there. Come on, listen. She's giving you the tools that you need. And then looking at you with a beautiful smile, we see the fruits of it. We see the work. We see the receipts of when you go through it and you follow the steps and you actually put in the work. Come on. These are the results. So if we could just get people to the point where we stop talking and we get to work and we start taking action. We got to start taking action and moving towards, because that's where the proof is. It's not what we're saying, it's what we're doing. And so I'm so grateful. And let me just ask you this now. My sister, we're counting by twos again, right?
Yes. Things have come back. And like I'm speaking more, doing more engagements as well too. But I realized, okay, I'm working through it. And sometimes I may come across something and I'm like, I forgot. I'm good. So I'm just like, I've released all type of how do I say it? I've released anything that would make me put pride or try to put on a facade. I've released it all. I'm in my 40s, so there's perimenopause, and I'm forgetting. Like, it's not where I used to be, and I've just given myself so much grace to say, "You forgot." Oh, I forgot. I'm so sorry. And then I'm good to go. There's no level of perfection that tries to come off of me. I try to do things with a spirit of excellence. I 100% went in with the best intentions, did everything that I could. If things fell apart in a certain area, I apologize for it. And I keep on moving. But I'm not going under another weight of perfection to prove anything to anyone. I am saved. Okay. Jesus loves me. I did the best that I could. I'm not trying to live up to your expectations of me as a believer. I freed myself from it. So, and I think probably, not being able to count by twos probably helped me to do that. I'm like, okay. Sorry you feel that way. Okay. Keep it going.
Very humbling, right? And then it gets you in that space. That's what I believe too. It's like we have to take the mask off. And you know what? It is what it is. Because listen, this is what I believe, Michelle. You cannot heal from what you refuse to reveal. As long as you keep that thing hidden and you got this facade up, listen, you got to open up, give that thing over to the Lord and say, look, I've tried. And I've sit in this space long enough, and this is not it. God, I need you to move. I need you to do this, and trusting Him that He's going to send you the resources. And I'm
Yeah.
so glad that even as an African American woman, you recognize and you know what? I need professional side of this.
Yep.
I need, I need medication. I
Mhm.
need to see someone. I need to deal with this because guess what? In order for me to continue to be who the Lord has called me to be, the best version and strongest version of myself. Listen, you may no longer be a wife, but Michelle, you were still a mother.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I need help.
you recognize that. Yeah, I still
Help.
have someone that needs me to be here in this space. And how do I get myself to that point
Yeah.
where I
Yeah.
can function again, that I can live again? This is so beautiful. I love it. I
Yes.
love it. Thank you for sharing. Come on,
Yes.
thank you for sharing your story. Listen, and I'm going to leave any last words with you. I want you to tell the people how they can find you, where they can look, share again where we can get this book, let them know about the podcast, even if they want to watch it, if they want to go back and play it, because some people are writing.
Yeah.
Listen, what are the last words you want to share with any viewers today that if they don't take anything away from this, what is the message that you want them to get? And then tell them how they can find you and reach
Okay. So I will say there's more.
you.
And I'm going to give you this little story. So I mentioned that I was recently married. I got married in December, and this was a long time coming. And like God will restore what was lost, what was stolen, what you felt like, man, I felt slighted by that. And I was just like, man, I felt like I was a good wife. And I got gypped. I got pulled out of that. And I was really, really disappointed. But here's the thing, when God was really helping me to heal, while I was going through all that and taking the time out, I heard the Lord speak to me. He said, do it again. I was like, do what? Because when God speaks, you know exactly what he's talking about. Okay. And he said, do it again, but this time do it as if you were never hurt. And I was like, okay.
Ooh, that's
But I was hurt, God. And so he literally walked me through the
ooh, I just
process, the healing. And it was
ooh, I
just like, I want more. I wanted more from life. I didn't want this just to be the end of my story. I wanted some things redeemed. And so I met my husband now, and I got married. New name, new identity. My name is now Michelle A. Moore. I asked God for more, and I became it.
come on. I
Allow
love
me
it.
to call Michelle Moore. Okay. That's my new name. So when I
Yes.
tell you there's more, there's more to your story. There's more that comes out of it than just the hurt, the pain, the shame, the humiliation. There's more, and there's a good more. There's a whole lot more. Okay. The goodness of God. So I want to leave you encouraged. You may decide I never want to get married again. That's okay, but there's still more to your story. Don't just put a period where there should be a comma. There's so much more. And God is so faithful. If He keeps waking you up every single day, He wants to do more in your life. Let Him. Take him out of this box that you have created. You read some stuff in the word and you just boxed him in and said, this is how you got to move. God, if you don't stop, take God out of your box. Take him out of all of that and let him just lead and guide you. And when you get to the more, it's going to feel so good. It's like he's going to redeem your entire life. You will look better in your latter years than you did in your former years.
Come on
That
now.
scripture is not a lie. It's not an exaggeration. It will be greater, but you've got to allow God to do the more in your life. So that would be the one thing that I would leave with y'all. If you are looking to find me, you can go to my website. It is IamMichelleA.com. You can also go and you can just Google Lost Light Laughter, Lost Light and Laughter, and you'll find the podcast there, lostlightlaughter.com. I'm on all streaming networks. My book, When Scandal Comes Home, you can find it on Amazon as well too. Like if you're trying to find me, you will. Okay. So I always say Lost Light and Laughter is probably one of the easiest ways just because there's so many Michelles in this world. But I am michellea.com is my website, and you can find me there. And just, reach out to me on social media, however you find me, through the website, podcast, whatever, reach out to me and I'll be happy to connect with you, because I just love spreading the light. And like I said, I got words, I can talk. So I'm going to use what I
have. I love it. I love it. Thank you so kindly, Michelle. Thank you. This has been
you.
Such an honor, and it has been God good. Let me tell you, thank you so kindly for just doing me the pleasure of showing up here in this space and being able to speak to, not only the Hopeless community, but the members, the people that are here as far as the Selflessly Selfish podcast. Thank you all for joining us today. Listen, I'm going to leave you with what I always tell them. There's nothing new under the sun. Listen, if it has been done, that means it can be done. You just need to find a way to make it your own. So stay hopeful and take action. God bless you. Thank you all so much for joining. Have an amazing time. Yeah.
Thank you, Coach Webb. Thank you all for listening and watching. Bye.